Oh, hey, surprise. No announcement this week. Just kind of we're a little both behind on getting any guests together. So it's gonna be just Animal and I, which hey, I think maybe is a nice break, honestly. Sometimes the interviews can feel a little stale after a while. So today we're gonna cover a few different things. As the title indicates, Tether is Tether banned. You can't really ban Tether technically, but Coinbase getting rid of the option to use Tether is coming at the end of the year, and kind of talk through some of the implications of that. I think there's a lot of discussion lately on who is Satoshi. HBO's coming out with a documentary in I don't know, a couple days, I think on Tuesday, the 8th. And
Yep.
they supposedly they're going to uncover who Satoshi is. We can talk about this. I think maybe just a clever marketing ploy. And then I also want to cover some Litecoin statistics. We had another update on BitPay for the month of, I guess, September. And it was more good news, but there's just some other places. I think we're going to talk about this probably every week. Check in on some network stats and try to keep it short and sweet. We'll try not to talk too much this week. So, Animal, thank you for being here again. Animal's not now. I know this may look like Animal is in prison. It may look like he's in a padded room or something, but no. Apparently, he's on vacation, and he vacations in a blank white room.
No, we're actually in the Eastern Townships, and yeah, I mean, this is the best I could do on short notice.
That's all right.
Um,
Uh-oh. Are you already you're already locking up? Oh no. We just talked
not,
for
not, yeah. You know, with Airbnbs, you can't really. Yeah, can you hear me? Excuse me.
no, you locked up. You locked up. We chatted for a half
Okay.
hour, but now that we've gone live, it's locked up a bit. But okay. Well, so let's get into the Tether thing. I'll try to share. I'm working a little differently today, but I think I can do this. So Canada, or not Canada, Europe. I got to figure out where my bookmarks are. Am I blanking? Where the heck are my bookmarks? Oh, okay. Europe passed some legislation years ago. Dang it, where is it? Where is it? Ah, not years ago, months ago, on June 19th. And what it's going to do is basically change the rules for stablecoins in Europe due to their MiCA, Markets and Crypto Assets legislation, which may be worth, I know it's been a number of months since this happened, but that may be worth kind of digging into. Oh, you guys don't see that. Hang on. Sorry about this. There we go. So this is from CoinDesk. EU's restrictive stablecoin rules take effect soon and issuers are running out of time. So this happened in June. They updated this article in September. And essentially, it has to do with, it's kind of a crazy rule. The new rules have to do with how much activity is going on the blockchain. So non-EU euro denominated stablecoins, if they're over a certain threshold, then you need to stop issuing them. And that creates a problem because 99% of stablecoin markets are in USD. So USDT, USDC was not banned. Isn't that what you said, Animal? I think that was the announcement was, let me pull it up here.
Uh, uh, and I get valued of over 200 million euros per day. Is that globally? I mean, Tether will qualify for that, certainly. USDC, I'm not
$200
sure.
million, you said?
But yeah,
I wonder how they
yeah.
monitor that.
Or yeah, if it's used for, I guess it's because it's on a blockchain, right? Like you can audit this stuff. For more than 100 or 1 million transactions transactions valued over 200 million euros per day. And so I guess Tether qualifies.
Is it
But there's
in Europe
additional
we're
compliance.
talking
I guess
about?
that would. MICA applies to Europe, although there is something similar happening in Canada. Um, just this week, well, on the 30th of September, the well, Gemini decided to pull out of Canada, citing similar concerns, basically that regulatory challenges, this Canadian compliance agencies or Canadian securities administrators are requiring that crypto platforms um, comply to these regulations by December 31st. Um, and so, yeah, Gemini, instead of you know going through the hassle of complying with these new regulations, which again revolve around stablecoin usage, decide to opt out of doing business in Canada. Binance as well did this a couple of years ago. OKX, Bybit, they all used to be in Canada, and they're out now. Around the same time, interestingly, like margin trading was disallowed in Canada. So yeah, that meant Bitfinex and Coinbase futures and all these other guys. So yeah, I mean, this is what regulations look like, I guess. They're trying to tighten control on their capital, right? On capital and
What's interesting is that
make sure that
the law appears to be more focused on US dollar denominated, right? Because if you look up here, it's about non-EU euro denominated stable coins, which kind of makes sense. It's something we've talked about in the spaces a lot is these stable coins are essentially just this uh, ability for the US to continue to print dollars and spread the dollar around the world and crush local currencies.
Mhm.
So, places again, like take Argentina, since their president's welcoming a free market of money, people are going to rush to a stable coin first, just because it's something they recognize, they feel comfortable with the dollar. So if they can opt out of their local currency and go to the dollar, that's a benefit to them. And so what it does, it's going to undermine anything Argentina does. So if you allow that everywhere, yeah, in Europe, are they going to abandon the dollar? I don't know, or abandon the euro. That's probably what their fear is. So that kind of makes sense to me, honestly. They're probably just mostly hoping to create a euro-based one to compete with the dollar, because the dollar is kicking everyone's butt right now, honestly. Pretty crazy. The most
it
adopted crypto is the dollar coin. Oh, we lost Animal. I think what maybe we should try, Animal. Try just doing. You want to try and cut your video, see if that helps. He's being throttled because Europe,
I'll see. I'll
Canada
just
doesn't
make
have.
sure that nothing else is on my network, but we should be. Yeah,
Looks like
sorry.
I
Yeah,
have.
my internet at this chalet is not the best. Is it better now?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm
Okay. Okay,
It's
great.
telling me my connection's bad, but I think I'm like direct wired. I'm plugged in LAN network, so maybe my internet just stinks.
Sorry
Which,
about
but
that.
I want to get into some. Do you at home? Do you use like a cable network, or do you use like a hotspot cell network? This is total sidebar. I'm just curious because it's something I might dive into.
No, yeah, we have like a fiber optic connection.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I'm thinking like when the Stack Mobile
Yeah.
comes out, maybe just ditching my local cable and going with 5G and a hotspot. You know what I mean? Is that just as well? Probably. It
Yeah, I
seems to
mean,
work just as well.
if you guys have unlimited, that's pretty cool. We don't have unlimited data here in Canada.
Oh, it's just an American thing. All right. Well, anyway,
Yeah, unfortunately.
so it says it doesn't
But yeah, we're talking about
prevent
US
companies.
dollar hegemony and why.
And why what?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna gotta roll
No, and
through.
and why I guess the European economy is suffering, and it a large reason for that is because the U.S. economy is so strong, right? U.S. imports are more expensive, which causes their dollars or their euro to be stretched thinner. And I guess they figure that one way to taper that is to block stablecoin usage. Um, just because it's kind of like, a leaky spigot, right? Like at some point, people will just be there'll be like this capital flight where people are just selling all their euros for US dollars because they want to protect their wealth. And if they block US stablecoins, people will have to do it the old fashioned way, which is through their bank or currency exchange, which has huge margins and fees and stuff associated with it. So I guess they want their cut.
I used to say this a lot on the show, and I don't know if I say it as much anymore, is that control of the money supply is like oxygen for the government. And I think that we've been very naive to think, oh, well, governments are just going to welcome crypto in and they're going to facilitate it. Like they can't exist side by side, at least not governments in the current form where there's just unbridled spending essentially, and these slush funds and the wars that they're spending. And this is actually interesting. In this article, it says, based on the law, issuers can service Europeans without limitations when the tokens aren't a means of exchange. That should be a big headline. That includes transactions between currency
Wait,
areas,
what?
peer-to-peer
So
transactions, and where cryptocurrency is exchanged for an e-money token. So maybe like on a trading market, like a futures market, maybe you're allowed to, but what they're targeting is means of exchange, peer-to-peer transactions, which should tell you they know what the weakness is that they have,
right.
right? And further enforces our
It's their own
concept that
currencies, right?
yep, that if they're just going to be on paper, that they're not as afraid of that. They're afraid of people actually using these things because they can't control them. Okay. Oh, it
Isn't
says okay.
Europe
Only
also?
hang on. It says only
Isn't the
transactions where both people are in the EU will be counted. How they're going to know that, I don't know.
hmm,
Jeez. And they're talking $200 million, and these are the
interesting?
daily transactions. Tether's 27 billion, USDC is 5 billion. So anyway, what ended up happening is
I mean,
uh, Coinbase is going to delist in Europe December 30th, Tether, but they will plan to allow USDC and Euro C, which I'm guessing is a Euro stable coin, which isn't a surprise. Coinbase may also be doing this just because why would they want to, why would they want to, I guess,
for the
promote a
competition.
competitor, right? So,
Mhm.
all right. Oh, that's too zoomed in. You got any other? I was going to move on. Well, what do you think the impact is going to be on, I guess,
No, I
Litecoin in
mean,
that? Are you still having a hard time hearing me?
well, no, I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're just
Oh no, you
fuzzy.
can't hear me.
I
You
hear
can hear
you.
me? Shit, dude.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Remove your video. Try removing your video
But
and tell me.
all right, all right. Okay, what about now?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Better?
Yeah.
Testing, testing. Okay. Um, no, what was I gonna say?
What's the impact on Litecoin or just other cryptos in general?
Totally lost track. But basically, well, for Litecoin specifically, we've been bullied by the maxis for the last 4 years. So I think we can take it. Litecoiners are pretty resilient. The ones that are here, I was talking about that with my girlfriend yesterday about how everyone at the summit was just so cool and down to earth, and I feel like that's indicative of a community that has scared away all, or rather, an environment that has scared away all the like non-believers of Litecoin, and the
Mhm.
people that are there are just they believe in the project, they're not just chasing the money. You'll have a lot of people just chasing, gains, right? And they'll be, at Solana conferences or like the Bitcoin conference, right? But the ones
Right.
that were at the Litecoin summit, I mean, we're we're not there solely because of the money, obviously, because Litecoin's underperformed so it has performed so poorly in the last 4 years. We're there because out of principle, because we believe the technology is legitimate, and we believe in privacy and all that stuff, and a decentralized economy. And Litecoin does that. Litecoin adheres more strongly to the original Bitcoin ethos than Bitcoin does at this point.
Right.
So yeah, that's why I think like, man, the crowd at the summit, honestly, top notch. Um, I'm really glad I went and just saw it for myself. You know what I mean? It really helps reinforce my own conviction in the project. Um, so I don't think it's going to affect the price. All that to say.
Well, yeah, I'm not super thinking about the price. I actually think it's a positive to see Tether off the list for Coinbase because again, it brings back what we talked about with bit refills. It seems that the biggest competitor Litecoin has for usage is the stable coin, not so much Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin's kind of like if somebody's going to use Bitcoin and pay the fee, that's just going to be um, they're not doing it because of any rational thought, right? It's not like they're not worried about the cost, they're not worried about the speed, so they're not really a customer, quote unquote, of what Litecoin offers. But the stable coins are like lower fees, a little faster, right? So that's in that space of genuine payments. It seems like Litecoin is kind of battling Tether, and so the less usable Tether becomes, I think the more likely people are going to opt to use Litecoin instead. Which we've talked about this forever. Usage is it doesn't mean price action yet until you are able to develop kind of circular economies and
Mhm.
devoted customers, so to speak, where people are just holding it out of convenience rather than necessarily like some sort of laser-eyed conviction to hold this thing to your death. They're just holding it because it's the easiest thing for them to use. It's like, I don't consider myself a holder of gasoline, but I am holding some because it's in my car and I'm going to need to use it at some point in time, right? So that's kind of where I see it. That it provides stability to price, which again long term is a good thing. It's helpful for users. So yeah, it's kind of like we've backed into a kind of a good spot to be that
No, that's
primary competitor. Go ahead. Were you gonna
that's
say
a really
something?
good point. I mean, and really, if you remember our talk with, yeah, no, just that it's a really good point that you made. Looking back at what we learned from Matt Algberg at Bitrefill and his stats that he shared, um,
Right.
the most used actually USDT on Polygon, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, if that limits USDT on Bitrefill, then surely Litecoin's usage stands to gain significantly. Because yeah, besides Bitrefill, or rather besides USDT on Bitrefill, Litecoin was a close second or
Yeah, I wanted to pull up real quick
third
while we're
most of the
while
time,
we're
right?
chatting here. I've got some
Um, rest-
threads I want to pull up. You're still struggling, by the way, but I'm going to kind of morph that into um, some of these posts. Oh, geez, give me the big post here. BitPay. I'm going to go to the statistics first, and then we'll get into maybe who is Satoshi last. But so this was posted yesterday by at Litecoin. BitPay continues to see strong usage in Litecoin. And we started to see a little bit of a dip in July, but then it strengthened back up again. And you can see Litecoin's number one. They don't, they do have a stable coin option, which is really interesting that they don't see more activity on it. I'm surprised by that. Um, but again, 37% of transactions are in Litecoin, 25%, 25.8% Bitcoin, 10% Ethereum, almost 9% BCH, almost 6% Doge, and then USDC, Polygon, and XRP. So pretty low outside of really, like Litecoin and Bitcoin is 63, so almost 2/3 of transactions are those two. So that's one of them. And then we saw this other company, MyNimbox, which I don't actually know much about them. I know the Trocador app is used or was used by Cake Wallet. I'll have to check if it still is. But which cryptos are people using to pay for our services via Trocador? Very interesting. Number one is USDT. And number two is Litecoin at 21%. Dang it. Bad. Sorry, trying to make this look better. So if I click on this, so yeah, here's USDT.
Yeah, very interesting.
Again, if Europe bans USDT, the next most used is Litecoin, ETH, Matic, Solana. Now, what's most interesting about this graph to you that kind of blew me away when I'm putting you on the spot?
To me, well, what I like, what I see when I look at this is that, well, is Dash at 4%. I believe that is a privacy focused hosting service, and being that Litecoin is second highest,
And you're really chopping up, bro.
maybe it's got to do with MWeb. Maybe it has to do with the fact that, I'm so sorry, Litecoin that is available everywhere, would make sense that it's used on privacy focused services, since you can peg out from MWeb to any Litecoin address. So you can go straight and, from your MWeb, just send MWeb Litecoin to this company, and you'll get, they'll get your Litecoin pegged out, I guess, on my.
You know what shocks me about this chart?
Inbox's address.
There's no Bitcoin.
But yeah, what were you going to say?
There's no Bitcoin
Tell
on
me.
here. I don't know if you can even hear me.
I can. I don't. I can hear you. I guess you can't hear me.
I hear you, but my shock is that there's no Bitcoin.
Okay.
So they have 0 Bitcoin transactions? Is that what's going on?
That's a good point. They probably don't accept Maybe they just don't accept Lightning, and Bitcoiners are not willing to pay the ridiculous fees. And also, Bitcoin's not very private either.
I mean, this company on their header, anonymous service, shared hosting, and domain name registration services. We accept Bitcoin and Monero. And yet the statistics they share have no Bitcoin and no Monero.
Monero probably because it's impossible to get unless like you deal in
but anyway, check this out.
A market where it flows freely.
I'm gonna flow. You're so choppy right now, but my Wi-Fi is even bad. I'm almost wondering if I want to refresh my browser, but you know what? Let me cut down on some things that are maybe taking up space that I don't need. I might be causing problems too. I don't know if you guys can even see what's going on here.
No, I just saw something on. No, I just noticed something on that tweet is that they've activated Litecoin directly on their BTC Pay server. So people save fees on that option is what they say, which is pretty cool because I'm a huge fan of BTC Pay server.
Okay, so this says this is Trocador swaps. To bring more info here, Litecoin is used a lot for the Trocador swaps from our customers. They swap around 9% from all crypto payment options we have. So from the 9%, 21% use Litecoin. Interesting. I might reach out to them, see if we can figure out more about what's going on. But the other statistic that I thought I'd pull up was from CoinGate. And this poster, whoever Cyano is. I don't know who Cyano is. Says Litecoin will soon surpass Bitcoin to become the only top choice of crypto. I don't even know. That sounds like it's some weird AI generated post. But same thing. In September, Tether, Bitcoin, and Litecoin about half of Bitcoin. And I think this was shared at one point by Litecoin. That Litecoin's grown a lot for CoinGate, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I can find out. CoinGate.com. I don't know if they put statistics up. Maybe they do. Well, anyway. So, yeah, I just think we're talking the same thing every week to stay optimistic because these statistics are all pointing in the right direction. And yeah, I'm kind of excited about it. Now that I'm done sharing, maybe that'll help. I closed some tabs that were a problem that were maybe draining on my feed as well. So, unfortunately, Bit Info Charts uses a lot of data for whatever reason. Let me see here. I'm still trying to close some stuff. Let me pull up, I guess, while we're talking on statistics. The MWeb balance. I don't know if this is translating. Chris on crypto. The mic, bro. That's all that somebody posted on Twitter. Maybe one of us has a bad mic. Okay, maybe I've lost everybody. But all right, this is what we trade. This is what's going on. But this is MWeb balance, which again I look at these as nothing but positive news. If we look going back, no matter what time frame you use, even like the last here, we're going to use the last week, and you see growth in MWeb. Last month, the last 3 months, 6 months, it's just constantly on an uptrend. The only time we've had more is there was a tiny surge. I'm going to go all the way back up to, I don't know, June of last year, where somebody deposited like 300,000 in and then took it out. But outside of that, since then, it's just been nothing.
I would love to know who did that. What a Chad.
Yeah,
Someone just went all in to put the whole stack there.
you know what? That's probably findable. You can probably tell.
Just to see.
It started on May 29th and ended on June 2nd. So there's a 3-day period where MWeb, there's probably a way to look that up and figure out where those coins are. And then did it all vanish in a day? The third, it was
definitely
364.
I mean, that
and those are big withdrawals. By the 7th, it was all gone. Yeah.
Like, I wonder what the point of that was. Like, because you know the way it's was it first in, last out with MWeb? So, let's say like each Litecoin is serialized, right? And or you can add, like, say you add an ordinal to a Litecoin or to Litoshi, and you put that in, and it kind of stacks, right? And like when you peg in ordinals, they stack up on top of each other. Yeah, first in, first out thing. So this guy or girl or person or thing that deposited all these Litecoin, they essentially just pegged in their Litecoin and then removed their Litecoin. So they're this. It's the same serial number, right? It's not like they had anything else, any other. It's not like they changed their Litecoin. It's not like they swapped it out. They received pretty much the same Litecoin that they put in.
Right. So yeah, it's either testing or just somebody who naively thought that it would help them.
No, I wouldn't think it's someone naive. I think it's someone trying to make a point. Someone trying to point out that this works at scale, and that someone putting their money where their mouth is, in the most badass way possible. I think.
Well, yeah, I guess this would be a good time to tell people if you're interested, go to mwebexplorer.com or VPM. I like to call it VPM, virtual private money. But this will give you a kind of statistics. Obviously, has the price and then the MWeb balance, basic Litecoin statistics, and then some MWeb stats. Now, this the transactions is something else, and what might I would maybe like to start to understand these kernels. I don't understand what kernels are when it comes to MWeb. Um, Maybe that's worth trying to understand at some point. I know that's the number of 600 inputs, outputs, kernels. I don't know. I think maybe it has to do with how many coins inside of MWeb currently have have a varied path. Maybe they did something while they were in MWeb and they've either stayed there or left. But again, going back, just transactions in general, has it grown? Yes, it could certainly be higher. But we're starting to see that, now that we've, I think, seen some Cake Wallet and Light Wallet implementations, people are testing. I mean, look, here you go on September 24th, we had 1,600 MWeb transactions. So I think there's going to be unique ways people are going to find to use it that increases usage, whether it's like dispensing payments to people. More like I think payers will want to be conscious of their recipients' privacy and vice versa. I think for me, I never liked having my Litecoin address on my profile. So I like to have a static address to receive coins. And I tend to think people will want to even be proactively like, well, do you want me to send this to your MWeb instead? As in, I don't want to know your business. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I would be more forthright about it.
Yeah.
So,
kind of like
anyway,
it's kind of like Bitcoin stealth addresses, but just
better.
Yeah, Bitcoin stealth addresses achieve something similar, but done. Yeah, MWeb's just better. Um, I googled quickly the whole MWeb kernels thing, and if you want, I can give a quick explanation here, 2 lines.
Yeah, for sure.
It says MWeb kernels are a key component of the Mimblewimble extension block, proofs that valid transactions were made within the MWeb. So yeah, kernels ensure that transactions are valid without revealing the transaction amounts or the identities of the parties involved. By using kernels, MWeb enhances privacy and fungibility, making Litecoin transactions more confidential. And then there's another point with regards to efficiency. Kernels help maintain the efficiency of the blockchain by allowing transactions to be compact and scalable. So it looks like kernels are just what I guess the output of what the MWeb magic does,
Right.
and
It's
how
like
yeah.
a validator that um, coins that have been moved. It sounds to me like it's I gotta be so wrong on this, but like if a transaction takes place, a kernel is applied maybe to that MWeb address. I don't even know. What am I talking? I don't
I
really
mean, I
know.
guess the kernel is the cryptographic proof that the transaction took place. So that's I believe that's what people are syncing is the kernels, right? When you use the and I could be wrong about this too, making assumptions here on the fly. But when you use Cake Wallet, for example, and you turn on
Yep.
MWeb, it's got to synchronize. And is it synchronizing those kernels? Is that all it's getting? Is just the kernels, which are cryptographic proofs, but contain no real transaction data, right? But they allow you to know
Right.
the state of the blockchain at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move on from MWeb, and we'll finish up here with kind of the news of the day. I guess you'd call it the most talked about thing in crypto last couple days has been this who is Satoshi thing. So HBO is coming out with a documentary giving them free advertising here. I'm gonna try to find the the article. But essentially, they're making a documentary coming out on Tuesday to speculate who is Satoshi. Almost everybody seems to think it's Len Sassaman, or maybe I think even I looked up the article, and apparently that is who they have ultimately targeted as being Satoshi from the documentary. So somebody has leaked this information that's who they actually end up believing. But who, if you were to speculate, do you have any front runners, Animal?
I don't. I honestly, and from what I've read recently about Len Sassaman, it sounds very plausible that he's the creator, or at least one of them. Um, yeah, like the article says that bettors on Polymarket are putting their money behind Len Sassaman, and I guess Polymarkets, if you don't know, is a predictive marketplace where you can make bets and essentially
Right.
win money if you're what you bet on turns out to be true. So yeah, looking before the show, we did some quick research on him. Quick research, by that I mean going on to Wikipedia and reading his bio. And it turns out he passed away tragically in July of 2011 um, of suicide. So apparently, he took his own life in July of 2011, tragically. And Satoshi's last message was in April of 2011. This is where Satoshi bowed out and said he was going to, quit the project. So that lines up. Um, I
Does he
can't
have any? I
fathom.
guess I don't know the history. Like to me, um, I know that like Nick Szabo created E-Gold, I think it was, right? Somebody's going to correct me on this maybe, but um, he's been a name I've felt from the beginning listening to the guy talk and reading a lot of what he's written. So much of like Bitcoin, I guess we'd call it lore or something, is based on his writings. If you ever get a chance, go check out his website. Actually, let me see if I can pull it up because um, so much stuff like from the Bitcoin Standard, that book that everybody loves, was basically just ripping Nick Szabo's articles off, his essays off.
Mhm.
Unenumerated is the name of his. So if you go to unenumerated.blogspot.com, um, and he's going back all the way 2005, 2006, writing articles about patents. I mean, he's very libertarian. Um, all sorts of crazy essays about economics and just interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Obviously, he was a very prolific writer back then. He was writing 44. In 2006, he wrote 130. And then he's barely written and completely fell off the radar on Twitter in the last few years. I think he stopped posting like 3 or 4 years ago. But he's somebody I've always believed. Um, but do you know anything of the history of Len Sassaman um, before Bitcoin was created?
I mean, he was a computer scientist, a cryptographer, privacy advocate, but apparently he didn't directly contribute to Bitcoin. So, um, at
Well,
least
unless he was
publicly,
Satoshi.
right? Unless he was Satoshi, in which case, yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty interesting, given that it would be in his wheelhouse, I guess, being a privacy advocate and computer scientist. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what he was involved with and to what degree, who he worked for. More research is needed for that. But I guess that's one more reason to tune into the HBO special,
So
or at
he's
least
really
pirate it.
young, though, right? I mean, he's younger than me. So that'd have been pretty early in his life. The other thing that's interesting is it said she passed away.
As
Um,
well.
oh, never mind. Their marriage lasted to 2011. So I was like, I thought maybe they
Uh,
died together or something, but never mind. She's still alive, it appears. Ignore what I said there. But so
mhm.
she's also a technologist, the biopunk movement. What I would find it difficult, the most difficult thing about Satoshi is that there's nobody that this person told, that they didn't have a single friend or anyone that was kind of like clued into what they were working on. Now maybe his wife knew and has rightfully protected his identity all this time, but it just seems really difficult to have that level of um, I guess, security around everything you're doing, that people aren't even asking, like, well, what are you up to? Like, what have you been working on? And that you don't even kind of lean over and go, I'm actually working on this internet money. It's kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like, you would think somebody somewhere you would reveal that you were working on this. Um, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if it was him, his wife Meredith is certainly really good at keeping secrets. Um, no, looking more into him, he definitely fits the profile. You know, he was a hacker, a well-known cypherpunk. He frequently appeared in conferences like DEF CON, and yeah, I mean, listen, it would be cool if it were him, but it's really tragic and confusing, confounding to me as to why. I mean, mental health is a real thing, and yeah, just sad that
And
he did go, whether or not he's Satoshi. You know,
do you feel like that's young to do what he did? Like at 20, so he would have had to have started working on this in his 20s,
yeah,
mid to late 20s, and like
he
I don't
was
know.
29, I guess, when he released it, because he died at
Right.
31 in 2011. So he would have been 20, like, yeah, in his 20s when he published Bitcoin. Is he young? I mean, people say that you're the most creative in your early 20s, right? In your mid 20s is when you peak in terms of mental activity. So, if he was a huge, computer science nerd his whole life, he would have been in his prime at that point. And his
Yeah,
girlfriend looks like she's really technical as well. Also, a hacker, right? Also,
and she's a
cryptographer.
little
So,
older, which
yeah,
frankly wouldn't be crazy to say maybe she's the creator and that he uh, helped or that they created it together. Because
yeah,
it is, what's interesting about Bitcoin is that it's not just the technical like actually the technical aspect, I would say, were the things that Satoshi was least um capable of. If that's not, if that makes, if I may, tell me if I'm crazy, but from what I've learned just gleaning off hearing other people, like he needed help with a lot of things on how to implement. Like he had the idea of what needed to be done, but he didn't always know how to go about it.
mm,
Um, and really, it was kind of taking these various stories and putting them together. Like, how do I, prevent the double spend problem? And I think proof of work, pulling that from Adam Back's, or I guess there were other people that were doing proof of work before Adam Back, but pulling all those ideas together and putting them, it just feels like it's not something you stumble upon. And digital cash, like, it was the guy interested in this stuff as a kid, right? Oh, here we go. Look at this. At the age of 21, was an organizer of the protests following the rest of a so maybe he was kind of a cypherpunk type of guy. I don't know enough about him. I guess we could have done some more research ahead of time. This article came up. This kind of became news yesterday. Um, and I've always felt like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Um, which is the same reason as Litecoin, when people are like, "Oh, Charlie sold all his Litecoins." Like, it doesn't matter. And ultimately, this machine is running, and no single person is going to affect it. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think there's some people with comments. Satoshi emailed Satoshi emailed after Len had died, according to Master.
oh, really?
Oh, yeah, interesting. if you have more info, master, send that. And then somebody said, how old was Vitalik when ETH was created? Good point, right? Like kid genius. But ETH wasn't like as groundbreaking in the sense, like it didn't require as much invention, I don't believe. Um, but that's a good point. I'm not saying that this guy wasn't a genius of some sort that could have put this all together. I just felt like, the digital cash movement, the cypherpunk thing was like started in the early 90s and well, probably before that, but that's when those guys really were trying to focus on how do we make digital cash. This might be a good episode actually right here. We should do like the history of digital cash. You know what I mean? That might
Yeah,
be
yeah.
kind of interesting. Like do some research. You and I just like to BS, like actually sit down and follow a
Hey, I'm
timeline.
using Copilot over here, right? Like I asked ChatGPT when Satoshi's last email was, and apparently it was to developer Mike Hearn on April 23rd, 2011. So I don't know if Master has
Oh,
better
master,
references.
maybe you're mistaken.
I welcome them, but
But was that his
I
last
mean,
post
maybe
or that
ChatGPT
was that was an email?
his last email. But okay, let me ask when his last post was. This is how we do research in 2024.
Trust the science, trust the AI. That's one of my biggest. Well, I already know this is coming where people are just going to completely rely on AI for everything. I hate that.
Uh-huh.
It's the best
Yeah.
attack on free thought.
I mean, and the most guaranteed way to like make all humans obsolete. Yeah, I just asked it for Satoshi's last post, and apparently Satoshi's last known public post on the Bitcoin talk forum was December 12th, 2010.
Okay.
So yeah,
So,
he
master,
did
you got to
continue to
provide a link
email.
if you got
Yeah,
other information.
yeah,
Yeah, the AI thing. This is going to be a total. Again, I like to throw sidebars in here as we chat. But John Kerry, yeah, John Kerry is he ran for president and lost, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he was at a I don't know some sort of panel this week and talking about free speech, and he was like, the biggest hurdle to democracy is free speech, and like we have such a hard time building consensus now because people can go get their news from wherever they want, and they're filled with it's all this whole misinformation campaign, and you realize like how again, how important is that? Just like controlling the money supply, controlling information is so critical to the government to perpetuate its BS, right? Like, why would you need to,
Absolutely.
if you have a good case, why are you worried about the truth? The truth should come out. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of
No, no,
it's scary. And like AI to me is this filter that's going to be gamed to present the preferred story, right? That you can't trust it very much. You should always be skeptical of what AI is going to tell you. Not on something like this that's probably fairly inconsequential, but if you were to ask like, what happened in Israel this week, what's the story it's going to tell you? Is it going to have a bias? Is it going to have a way of tilting its words that make it sound one side is justified, one side's not? Again, I actually don't know a ton of the details. I just know there were missiles shot. So, um,
yeah.
yeah, AI is going to be an interesting part of the future and how people choose to
Maybe I should
interact.
ask one of the models on ppq.ai
Yeah,
instead of
dude,
Copilot.
I
Yeah,
use
because
that. I
Copilot's
love
probably
that.
the most. It is great, man, and they use BTC Pay Serve in the back end, which I am a huge fan of. As you know, um, such a good service, really, such a good site. Yeah, I'll ask PPQ.
Well, I would say
Although,
share it, but don't. See, you were like worried about your connection, and now you're using sites and stuff. No wonder you can't get a connection. You're hooked into the AI.
yeah, that's probably it. That's
Now that I think that it's funny that so if you guys don't know, ppq.ai, which like pay per queue, pay per question AI is run by that Matt Alborg, who was on here a few weeks ago from Bit Refill. Uh, Great site if you want to go check it out. You can use your Litecoin. I think he's slowly becoming a Litecoiner. I think he's slowly recognizing like, hey, this actually works really well, and people in Litecoin actually use their money, and it's becoming a. These Bitcoin only businesses are slowly going to realize like it's not a good business model to cater to people that um, don't use their money. Can't
Yeah,
make
no,
any money if you don't have users.
totally.
Oh, we didn't even talk about Swan. Swan
Yeah,
Bit.
at the same time, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say I don't want to dive into Swan too much, but that whole apparently there's a big lawsuit. They may be falling apart, which is I love because I think those guys were the worst culprits of the 2021 season as far as being just uh, spreading division throughout crypto. And the Bitcoin only thing is going to die, and that'll be beneficial for everybody. But anyway, go ahead. What did PPQ AI say?
Oh, actually, you know what? I don't have any funds in my account. I cleared my
I
I
do.
cleared my cookies and lost my funds. You believe that? I had like $4 there.
How much?
That's the way it works. Like, cause it's I had like $4 worth of Litecoin there, but yeah, PPQ is so cool. It's ppq.ai, and it doesn't,
Oh,
you
they just
don't create an account or anything. It just uses browser cookies to maintain your session. And if you clear your cookies, guess what? You lose all your history.
okay.
It's
So
all
we got a
client side. It's
bunch.
pretty sweet.
He's added a bunch of new chat models here. Let me pull this up.
Yeah, he's got
So if you guys
zero
haven't
one
seen
or
this,
01 preview.
I got $1.21 here. That I got with Litecoin. What do you want to look at? We could look at the 01 preview, the new advanced
Yeah,
reasoning model.
yeah, that's the most sophisticated one
What am I asking it? When is the last communication?
from
When was the
Satoshi. Yeah,
last
email or
time Satoshi Nakamoto communicated with anybody? Is that fair?
perfect. And then we can ask it who Satoshi Nakamoto is. See if it knows. See if it could divine this
If
stuff.
you
Because
were to
apparently this
guess.
model, yeah, apparently
Okay,
this model is capable of doing advanced research
so the knowledge
or
cutoff
PhD
is
level stuff.
October 23rd. April 23rd, 2011. On a date. I've moved on to other things in good hands with Gavin and everyone. Uh, okay. So April 23rd, and you said he died in June. So, all right. That's
July.
Master.
July.
You've been proven wrong. Although I am trusting ChatGPT or whatever this is. Actively involved. They communicated email, online forums. Last known public forum was December. So your information's been good. And then Gavin Andreessen went into the CIA, apparently, right? Shortly after that.
Yeah, he had a meeting with him. Yeah.
I think he should come up with the picture of that guy whose name was really Satoshi Nakamoto. That is one of the funniest stories. Just some
The
random dude had
Dorian?
the same name. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just go knock on his door and he's like, he has no clue what they're talking about. That's the news for you. Oh, he's got the same name. Oh, possible candidate suggested by the community. See, Nick Szabo. So basically, BitGold was, I think, had most of the qualities of Bitcoin, um, except for, I want to say, the proof of work was kind of the last thing it did not have. But I could be wrong. Hal
Interesting.
Finney, I don't know. Hal Finney, it does seem, I mean, it'd be too obvious. Like if I were Hal Finney and I'm going to create this identity of Satoshi Nakamoto, I wouldn't make myself one of the first people I communicate with. Like that would be the ultimate in like launching with wash trading, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like we're sending it between each other. Look how cool this is. And pretend you're two different people just passing it between yourselves. But I guess that just seems so silly. Like if you were truly concerned about your identity being protected, you wouldn't make yourself the primary target of speculation. And then number 3, the Satoshi Dorian Nakamoto. That's number 3. Craig Wright, which I think everybody's gotten past that. I've heard this name before, but I don't know much about Paul LaRue. Do you know much
A
about
crime
him?
boss. Not at all. I never heard of him before. So due to certain
Oh,
circumstances and coincidences in timeline. Okay.
a team. I I I guess if I had to guess, oh man, am I going to give the hacky answer of it being the CIA or NSA, something like that?
I
I could
mean,
see that.
why
I
not?
could see it being a test. Yeah, I could see it being something like, let's see if this can actually take root, and maybe it became something they didn't expect it to become. Um, I don't know. Or a foreign government seems just as likely. It could be the Chinese government could have created it as a way to extract wealth out of Americans. I mean, they've led the charge with mining and everything else. But I guess again, at
Yeah.
the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. And I think that's where I've continued to feel like, who cares who it is? Because even if that person comes back and sells 1 million Bitcoin, it's going to just be um, a whatever. Like it'll happen, and then you move on from it. There's nothing. It has no impact on the usage of it. Has no impact on the functionality or what it does. It's not less
I mean,
secure or anything if he comes back.
unless you're a dying cable network who's struggling to compete against major streaming services like Netflix, and you need like that extra injection of revenue and eyeballs, it doesn't make much of a difference. I think, yeah, HBO definitely is getting a ton of
Oh,
publicity, and people are going to watch it, and they're going to pay for HBO Max for at least 1 month just to see it. So
right.
yeah,
Somebody said something yesterday like it's going to be a non-conclusion. I kind of agree. I think it's going to end with some kind of like inspirational "I am Satoshi, we are Satoshi," like some kid. You know what I mean? Like some goofy montage at the end. So who is
yeah,
Satoshi?
and
I am
it's gonna bring
Satoshi.
around a lot of people to a lot of people are gonna learn about it, right? Like, as you were saying, it's gonna bring a lot of eyeballs and maybe some new investors, if it gets really popular. Maybe, people that normally wouldn't be interested in Bitcoin will finally this will be their first exposure to it, you know?
True.
Um,
Yeah,
let's hope they
I'm
do it
wondering what the
justice.
documentary is about besides that. I mean, is the whole thing about finding Satoshi, or is the documentary more about, um, just general Bitcoin stuff? I think when I looked at
Yeah.
the name, there were some news articles about the documentary. Um, yeah, it doesn't seem to tell me what the deal is with, but you can bet on it, like you said. Will HBO doc identify, or who will it identify as Satoshi? Polymarket has Len Sassman at 46.5%. So I can buy. I've never used this before. Should I share this? Is this legal? Am I allowed to bet on this? Do I need to deposit? Can I just deposit crypto, or do I have to actually create an account? Oh, I hate
I
these
don't know.
accounts. Why do I have to create an account all the time? Okay, another thing.
You got a
Adam Back.
KYC probably.
Adam Back is not Satoshi for a couple of reasons. One, I hate Adam Back. No. Again, why would you retain this anonymity and then just be the name in Bitcoin? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me why you would be so hell bent on maintaining your anonymity and at the same time be the most visible person in all of Bitcoin. So I'm going to eliminate these two just on that logic alone. Hal Finney and Adam Back. Now this guy didn't have the choice to whether to hide He did die, so that lines up time wise. He didn't ever claim any involvement in Bitcoin. He says he didn't know anything about it leading up to it. So that fits in with trying to maintain his anonymity. But man, how would you create it and launch it and then not want to see what's going to happen to it? That's crazy. But again, that happens to people. Again,
Yeah.
I think Nick Szabo is my choice. I don't know these other people at all. Gavin Andreessen. See, this is a good. If I'm like I'm assuming like these are odds, right? So like, if I bet, do I get is it like parimutuel betting? Do you know what I mean by that?
I don't know what that means, but yeah, if you buy like, a 75 or a 7.5 cent Hal Finney bet and you win, you get 93 cents, right? Like a 7 cent buy of the yes for Hal Finney will
Mm.
reward you 93 cents. So, yeah.
Oh, I mean, the thing about this I think really stinks is that this is a really dumb bet to take because anybody who's involved with the making of the documentary knows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This isn't like a
Seriously.
mystery. You could find this information out and game the market, which would make me believe that this is probably what's happened, right?
Mhm,
Somebody
mhm,
out there
mhm.
is putting a whole bunch of money that knows the answer for sure. And it's free money because they made the documentary. I don't know why people would want to bet in
Yeah.
something like that.
No,
I mean,
100
seriously,
no,
it's like
sorry,
makes no sense at all. It's like, what am I going to do today? Why don't you guys
1.5
bet on what I'm
million.
going to do today?
Yeah, the volume is
Boy,
1.5 million, this thing, so, yeah, there's a lot of money at stake.
look at this, man. The presidential winner. I would like to do one about this. I might play a little bit here. It's such a weird. I don't know. So these are legit, right? Have you done this at all? Have you bet on here?
No.
Oh, look. I can just use a wallet. Ah. I do have one of these. I think. I did I got Trust Wallet. I better be careful
Okay.
here. Let me just in case something weird pops up.
Yep.
I'm gonna hide that. Type in your keywords. Shit. Oh, I got it up here. Hang on a second. It's gonna take a second, apparently. I don't think I have any money in it though. That's the problem. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know what my password is. I don't think. Are you hacking my keystrokes right now?
Who, me?
No, I don't know what I'd have to look up
No.
my password on Trust Wallet. I don't know what it is. But let's anyway, it's cool. I think we should do I think it'd be fun to do one if you know anybody. Isn't I know that Paul Stortz, this is what he wants to build on with his drive chains. He thinks this is a cool use, which I tend to agree. I wonder if you
Yeah.
can pay with anything though. Or is it only Bitcoin?
On Polymarket? No, it's Polymarket runs on Polygon, which is the Ethereum
Oh, it does?
L2,
Okay, I didn't
so
know that.
yeah, yeah.
This is pretty cool.
So
Can we do like sports? Sports seems more fun than anything.
definitely you can do
We
sports,
can bet on crypto prices.
pop culture.
So
Like,
I've
how
got
many
right now,
times
I got a
will Elon
Michigan
tweet?
sweatshirt on. I grew up as a Michigan fan. I went going to school at Indiana. Indiana is like whooping ass lately. It's the best football team they've had in a million years. They're like 5-0. They're normally 2-12. So it's been kind of
Yeah.
exciting. So you can bet on any sports game, but you're just betting against other people. There's no like bookie essentially
Yeah,
taking a
the
percentage.
I think there might be a fee. I don't know. I would
Yeah.
assume there's a fee,
Probably
like
probably pretty nominal compared to the whatever you normally pay, 5 to 10%.
mhm,
I don't do yeah, I used to sports gamble back in the day. Back when it was illegal on the internet, I sports gambled. But now that
nice.
it's legal, I don't have time or money for all this.
It's
All right.
lame. Yeah, well,
Well, so,
alright, dude. Yeah,
Animal
I mean
mentioned real quick, you'd mentioned BTC Pay Server. So I think we're gonna do something soon on that. If anybody knows anybody at BTC Pay Server and wants to send them our way, Animal's been working on some stuff. We might be creating like a fund, like one of these light dot space things, but he wants to kind of get some thoughts together on it to make sure he's presenting it in the best way. But it's really cool what he's done. Do you want to show someone, or do you not have time, or do you probably don't? You're not at a place you can show what you've got, right?
well, I mean, what have I got? I've got a BTC Pay server running. I'm not at home. I don't like yeah. I'm not really, prepared to show anything in particular, but so I did have at some point the, Litecoin MWeb version of BTC Pay server running. I no longer do, um, just because I feel like it's in its current state, it isn't it's not ready for prime time. It's not something that I would feel comfortable letting a merchant that I'm hosting use. It's cumbersome. It doesn't do reporting well yet, and I feel like there's a lot of room for improvement. And I would like to start a fund to polish it a little bit more. You know, to bring it to have the that Litecoin MWeb functionality brought to like out of it feels like it's an alpha, right? Like I feel like it's a proof of concept. You know, Hector got it
Right.
working on a BTC server. It does work. It generates a QR code, but that's about it. The extended functionality of reporting and invoicing and being able to pay out from an MWeb address isn't included, and I think are critical to the functionality of a merchant. You know, being able to
Mm-hmm.
do these kinds of things without having to do like the hacky workarounds required is important for regular mom and pops shop or like a restaurant or something like that. Restaurateur like they don't they don't have time or even they don't have time to do that. Never mind the time to learn how to do that. So
Right.
making it as smooth as possible, I think, is what I want to see next out of the bounty program.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Well, yeah, and talking about it with you a little bit, it's if I were to sit here and say what's the biggest issue we have as a crypto community, and even I think if you go back and listen to like the very first spaces, I talk about how Johnny Litecoin was always this guy I would go, we should be tapping into people like him who have experience in payment processors and how credit cards function, and he's going to understand like what his customers are challenged with as far as
mhm,
why don't they use crypto, right? Is it a lot of it is the accounting and the bookkeeping, right? Like the concern about taxation and how do I turn this into dollars in a reasonable amount of time, because they don't want to mess with the volatility. So like just all these question marks end up making people go, it's just not worth it. 3%, I'll just pay the 3% on the credit card. I just don't have time to, it's the last thing I need to spend my time thinking about, which is the case with most businesses, right? They sometimes will stay in suboptimal solutions just because change is so much hassle that they just don't want to bother. It's more costly to change than it is than what they would save. So um, I think what you're talking about and the capability is out there already. The fact that this is kind of built, it's just a matter of how do you put it in a really easily digestible way that a person with no computer programming experience or very limited can kind of plug and play, right? Or that an
yeah.
experienced Litecoiner could kind of guide them through it, um, with minimal, again, with yeah, someone like me who I don't have
It,
ton of
it's just,
technical experience,
it's just
but I can walk in and say, "Hey, buddy, let me
it's really
help you
just.
out."
I think it just requires some extra polish, right? And the other thing that would be nice because currently, in order to use MWeb on BTC Pay server, you need to download the like Hector's special image of it. which is complicated and not everyone will do. Like basically, people that are currently running BTC Pay Server will have to do some really well, I don't even know if they'll be able to. If they've updated to the latest version of BTC Pay Server, they won't be able to downgrade and use Hector's image. So it's inaccessible to the rest of the BTC Pay Server community. So making it accessible to everyone, making it easy to implement for everyone that's already running BTC Pay Server is also pretty critical. Um, so yeah, which is why I feel like it's really just a proof of concept and requires a bit more polish and added functionality. But we're close, and I mean Hector did it for not a lot of money. The bounty was like 30 something Litecoin. So if we could generate
Right.
more than that, maybe get some more developers to help out, and we could
Well,
get there.
in
And
MWeb or VPM, let's keep calling it VPM, is I think important, but what I what I worry about is like you say, like don't let the perfect get in the way of the good, right? So maybe step one
mm,
is just let's let's keep it just Litecoin for now until we can figure out a way that is easy. Yeah, and you almost have to have like a frequently asked questions and because people are going to have issues, troubleshooting guides, that type of thing that you can't make complete until people are using it and asking these questions, going, why has had this happen? And how do I get out? How do I fix it? Because there's so much
totally.
apprehension around it. The last thing people want to do is lose an entire payment or feel like they're going to get hacked or, yeah, they're going to screw up and lose their private keys, right? Like these are legit concerns that a merchant would have. I think for the most part, today people would want to accept it and then find a way to um, convert it quickly and minimize their risk at a really low cost. Like if I can just get into dollars, I've avoided the fee. My customer's happy because they got to use their crypto, and that's all I want to do right now. Which okay, right? Like at some point in time, you got to accept where your customers are at. You can't force your ideals down their throat. So, yeah, maybe it's something we're not. Animals just an idea at this point. But if you've got some, maybe you got an ability to writing uh, marketing copy that you can put together and you feel like you'd want to help out, like let us know. And I think we'll just leave it that right now. But yeah, look into BTC Pay Server. I think isn't there a website LTC Pay Server too? Or no? Am I crazy? I thought for sure
I
somebody had a website, or at one point in time it was its unique website. Maybe I'm just crazy. Anyway,
I haven't heard of that, but yeah,
I remember a logo at one point in time. Was it maybe just Litecoin Pay, LTC Pay?
could
You know
be.
what I'm talking about? One that didn't actually come to fruition. Anyway, okay. Well, yeah, I think we've been trying to keep these a little shorter. This is a good stopping point, Animal. Uh, I don't have it. We're going to try to get a miner on here soon. Miner. Don't get it twisted. And then maybe we'll find something on this poly market and if we can get somebody from BTC Pay Server to talk to us, because apparently they're maximalists, um, we'll do that. But thanks everybody for following. You got any closing words, Animal? You good to go?
I don't know, like, subscribe, etc. Cake Wallet, play with it. It's
Oh yeah.
awesome. Great sponsors, and yeah,
You know, I do want to go
have a
through
nice
at some
weekend.
point in time the Cake Wallet mobile, or not the mobile wallet, the desktop wallet with. We're trying to get actually that might be another one we're gonna do too soon. Is they should be live with MWeb. I don't know, got to be any day now. They might be waiting for the birthday of Litecoin. Next week we might talk about what's the surprise, what's the October surprise on Litecoin. Let's speculate that on that next week. But maybe we'll get a preview announcement or something. But all right, guys. Well, like and subscribe. Go download Cake Wallet. You can use their desktop wallet. You can buy crypto gift cards in the wallet. You can use Nano GPT, like a Chat GPT thing, inside their wallet as well. and you can swap and use MWeb. It's pretty great. Or you got to have an alpha version to do MWeb part, but it's going to be available very soon to the general public. So keep following and subscribing, and thanks for showing up every week. Appreciate y'all. Have a good one.